Hello and welcome to the channel. I am Spencer Penrod. I'm a world builder. I make worlds for stories for D&D campaigns, things like that. I've been doing it for years, and I have recently started applying that skill set and analyzing media as I watch it. Today, we're looking at Alien Stage. I know absolutely nothing about this. My brother, Ink writes Jacob Penrod. He is also a reaction YouTuber who analyzes media, and he does it from more of a literary standpoint, looking at themes and characters and writing techniques, things like that. He suggested this to me and said I would like it, said it would be a good fit. So I'm taking him at his word and taking a look at it. The only thing I know about it is that it's called Alien Stage. And as I was looking for the playlists, I noticed that they were split in two rounds. And that the titles were kind of confusing because it didn't look like everything was there, but I'm assured that I've got the whole playlist. So we'll jump right into it. Hopefully my lack of knowledge is a good or neutral thing. I literally have no idea what to expect. So I did figure out I think I need the subtitles on because it looked like it wasn't in English, at least the opening song. I've watched a total of 2 seconds. So we'll see with the rest of this. But yeah, let's see what we got.
나의 클레마티스 시면에서 핀 희망 오 나의
Okay, first thing I'm noticing here is she's got on, you can't see it with the subs, I'm gonna have to toggle these on and off a lot. She's got like a choker or something on. I'm gonna move that leaf. She has purple eyes, which are not normal. That might just be like an cartoon anime drawing thing where they want characters to look interesting, but maybe that's hinting at something. What stands out to me about the choker is that it looks like a little light on it. And it's green, which to me indicates some kind of status. Maybe it's just a fashion statement. I'm going to keep my eye out though, because to me that hints at it being more of like a color. Especially because it's kind of plain white. Her outfit is pretty plain. It makes me wonder if it's a little more sinister than it appears at first glance, but maybe I'm reading too much into that.
클레마티스
Oh, she's got one too. So almost certainly not a fashion statement. That makes me really think these are colors. The green probably means that they are okay in whatever way the colors are tracking. Maybe that's health. Maybe that's they're within the bounds that we've set for them. I don't know. But again, I have no idea what this is about, but it is setting off some minor alarm bells for me.
항상 곁에 있어줘 높은 지
Colors are off, it looks like. They are grown up, and some are very different. I don't really know what that means yet, but it is notable.
이르게 단 이곳에
Okay, performing at a concert, it looks like. I see people like waving those little glow stick things that you see at concerts sometimes. I don't know what's going up with the lights here, if that's some kind of artistic choice or if it's meant to be some kind of technology emphasizing their performance. I'm leaning towards the latter just because I like to assume that the details we see are meaningful and as close to being in world as possible. So that makes me think this is kind of a modern, slightly sci-fi look at things. The colors didn't look particularly futuristic, but something about that gave me sci-fi vibes as well. So I'm leaning towards this being a futuristic world, maybe a little darker than it appears on the surface. Um, yeah, maybe some crackpot theories to be had so far, but I'll save those for later.
피어난 너 네 눈 안에 은하 별빛이 펼쳐져
What's on her neck there? SURB? Sub? Wait, is this... Does this say sub to the YouTube channel, or... That would be silly. I feel like it's got to be saying something else. But I can't really make out what it is. It's very subtle. So it's not like obvious branding or an obvious tattoo. Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for that more, but I'm not sure what it could be right now.
펼쳐지네 끝없이 깊은 나무
Okay, robot fish definitely screams sci-fi to me. This corner here, there's a corner in the sky. Like that's definitely a box that they're in. So it looks like they're outside, but are they actually being raised or captive inside of like a giant skybox, something meant to be outside? Maybe that's why it's a robot fish, because it's easier to keep than fish are so easy to keep. That can't be right. Just sci-fi things for why it's a fish robot, I guess. But yeah, no, definitely those are collars and they are trapped in this box, right? But we've seen wind, we've seen... I could have sworn we saw the clouds move. I would need to double check, but it's not that important. Either way, there were trees in the distance. There's a tree close by. So it's meant to be mimicking outside pretty faithfully, but that's also definitely a corner. So it's meant to fool them, or it's meant to maybe just be a really relaxing thing resembling outside. Can't tell which so far. Okay, that's a UFO. So aliens, I guess alien stage, so aliens make sense. Stage maybe is the performance. Are aliens kidnapping and raising children as performers for them? Crackpot theory, I guess. Very tinfoil hat. We see another line here. Like, we can't tell a full... Like, we don't see the top of the corner again, like we did before. But this is still making me think they're in a giant box. Let's see. I don't really see anything else terribly notable about this, except I guess we're seeing cities. My first thought was that these are fake, like the sun would have to be fake. But maybe rather than them like painting city scenery, this box is ginormous and trapping entire cities inside of it. That could be the case. It would explain why we see a UFO flying, because if the box was tiny, it wouldn't make sense for them to fly around inside of it, both from a practical perspective, unless they're tiny aliens, I guess. But also just from a... Like, there's just no reason for it. The logistics of it get hard. But if it's a giant box, then flying around makes sense, because you'd still need to travel between cities and stuff. Or, again, it could all just be like a projection, and this is what the outside world looks like, but they're stuck in their little box.
널 찾아
Oh, there's the actual corner again. So definitely not just a crease, but the full corner of the box is visible.
무안에서
What's that say? Pass? I am not sure what that could mean. She seemed very happy about it. Like she's showing off, hey, I passed. Maybe again, if I'm going with my tinfoil hat theory that these kids are being raised into performers by aliens, then maybe this means that she has passed whatever qualifications she needs to start performing, which, based on the lack of collars from when we've seen them grown up, would mean that they get a little more freedom. And that's why she would be excited. I wonder if it'll be more clear. Right now, I'm really stretching what we've seen so far.
잠들어도
There's the seam in the sky again.
내 우주 떠나지 마. 오 나의 클레마티스 시면에서 빈 희망.
Okay, there's that letter again. It looks like either an A or an R. If we assume that we saw all of that before, then it would be Sir or Sua. Neither of those mean anything to me. Did this other girl have anything? She's wearing too high of a collar to tell. Okay.
빈 희망. 오 나의 클레마티스 항상 곁에 있어줘.
Is this clearly means something. Is it windows? It kind of looks like windows in a plane or something. It also kind of looks like Google Cardboard, those goofy VR headsets that you turn your phone into something. I'm guessing it's probably not that, but it's really angular here. It doesn't feel like it makes sense with the rest of what we're seeing. I'm not sure if this is a scene transition or if it's showing us that like they're performing inside of a ship, maybe. Yeah, I'll have to just play and see. Wait, verses? Okay, so it's a screen like you'd see in a stadium. The verses is really confusing to me. We do see that neither of them have a collar in it, but it doesn't look like it's a very meaningful picture because it also doesn't have her words, so I don't think we can read too much into it. It is notable that they have like this blank grid behind them in the pictures, just because that's, I mean, we see the shadow on it, so it's probably not just that the background has been photoshopped out, but that there's this plain white space that they are getting their pictures taken in. And it being just this really tiny grid, like those are small squares, makes it look almost like a prison or a mugshot or something. I can't tell if their different expressions are meant to be facets of their personality or expressions of their personality, I suppose, because pink-haired girl is really happy and black-haired girl is really sad or neutral. But so far, the black-haired girl hasn't seemed like depressed or sad or overly neutral or anything. I wouldn't think it's that, but it could be. I'm not sure what else it would be. And then finally, it's really weird. They're performing together here, but it says round one and it's a versus thing. So they are pitted against each other, but it's a collaborative performance, which is very strange. Yeah, I'm really intrigued so far.
당신은 신을 믿나요?
Okay, so I'm going to show my amazing familiarity with geography here. I'm pretty sure this isn't Earth, or if it is Earth, something has happened and like the seas have dried out and the continents have dried out. Because I'm pretty sure this is not how Earth looks from any angle in space. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. There's also very few clouds, which would indicate low moisture. So either we're not looking at Earth or something has happened and Earth is kind of suffering from severe climate change, is my guess. Or I'm really bad at geography. That is a very distinct possibility. Okay. Once upon a time, God or mankind believed in God and had religion. We see the God is with us sign, and the aliens are destroying that. So, based on the dialogue and what we're seeing here, it looks like at least the theme they're talking about right now is that aliens destroyed faith because they came and obliterated the earth and the gods couldn't save them, or God couldn't save them. We see, let's see, we don't see any military technology beyond what would just be on individual soldiers. So it's a little hard to say how the aliens would stack up to that. But I feel like this guy here is an alien blasting through bulletproof armor as this guy is running away. I feel like that's meant to show that these guys are just completely superior to the technology that we had. Which isn't that surprising. I mean, aliens with spaceships capable of space travel, they would need to be technologically superior. But I feel like the visuals are themselves saying that nothing is stopping these guys, not the military, not gods, not the structures we've built. I am having this reaffirm my my theory that aliens are raising these kids in giant cubes, because if they came and obliterated the Earth, and what was left of the Earth was this kind of dried out husk, is what I'm getting from this image, then we could say it's probably not even safe outside anymore. Or like there's not the resources left after this war, or slaughter is maybe a better word for it. So that makes me think that the aliens have kind of taken over as the new gods, and what they demand is pop stars. We'll see how that goes.
옛날의 인류는 신을 믿고 종교를 가졌대. 사람의 힘으로 해결할 수 없는 것들이 신의 뜻이라 믿고 온 우주
believe that the entire universe revolved around the Earth. So it's definitely an Earth thing. This is a guy performing on a stage. We see those same kind of sci-fi hologram screens. We still haven't seen what anything in the audience looks like, which is notable because I'm pretty sure they're aliens, and that's either going to be a surprise revelation that these aren't humans, they're aliens. Or maybe it's just meant to be dark and obscured and we don't see them. The stage itself looks like a UFO. It doesn't matter too much. but it is notable to just reinforce this sci-fi theme and aesthetic. I'm wondering what's up here in the top right.
지구를
It looks like eyes. Oh, top left too. These are definitely eyes, right? Are the aliens gigantic? Because I see one pair of eyes, another pair of eyes, another pair of eyes. I think this is a pair of eyes, but that one's harder to tell. This is definitely a pair of eyes. So I thought that these things were the aliens, but now I'm thinking that the giant eyeballs are the aliens. And these are maybe lesser aliens or Earthlings. The eyes are freaking me out, though. That's very ominous. Also, I've noticed that. So this guy is sweating a ton. You sweat when you're performing on stage. It makes sense. Like it's hot and you're dancing around. But the earlier we saw these two were like sweating a ton, and their performance was super tame. Yeah, like it it made sure to emphasize that they were sweating as they were singing here. Like, look at all that sweat pouring off them. And maybe it's just really warm. Maybe it's just because they're performing. But I'm thinking with it showing this versus screen, and the fact that they're sweating despite basically standing still in their performance, and this guy is sweating and also standing still in his performance, though he kind of looks like he's posing at the end, to be fair. My guess is that it's nerves making them sweat, and that there's some kind of consequence going on here if you lose. Something that's pretty severe, and they're worried about that. Again, though, maybe I'm just reading too much into this.
말도 믿고 감히 닿을 수 없는 하늘과 이어지는 곳은 신이 사는 곳이었던 것.
I thought I had something to say here. I don't know. I was told that character relationships are a very important part of this. That's basically the only thing I know about it. And these guys have been shown to be very friendly with each other, bordering on like romantic with how they are touching each other and expressing each other. It's hard to say because they're like kids, but then we see them like kind of blushing and staring into each other's eyes as they're performing. And I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about that. It doesn't really affect the world building that much, except maybe to say if they are attracted to each other, then that shows that whatever society they're living in or under right now doesn't necessarily care about that. Whereas a lot of times, especially if they're being like oppressed and controlled, which these colors are suggesting to me, a lot of times you don't see those types of rulerships very friendly towards gay feelings. So if they are gay, then that's notable that the aliens, I'm guessing, I'm getting more and more convinced that the aliens are ruling them, boxing them in, raising them like performing cattle. But it shows that they don't necessarily care about that kind of interpersonal relationship. But it could also just be that they are very good friends, I suppose. I wouldn't be that surprised.
거야.
Is this Earth or the sun? I don't know. This is a lot of junk around. No, I can see continents there. So it's not the sun. It's definitely a planet. I can't tell what all this junk is. But hang on, that's definitely a soda can. So are they saying they polluted Earth so much that even space became a trash heap? And that's why it looked so bleak?
인류가
From the moment humanity left the universe, we all forgot God. All right, I'm seeing a lot of alien things. This thing in the foreground looks alien. There's that collar again, and it looks like it's attached to an alien leash this time. So I'm now 100% sold on my theory. We see a lot of alien-looking silhouettes here in this building. Not really enough detail to make out anything about them. It's a weird building construction because it looks really long and narrow. Maybe it's like a train or something with a really long window. That wouldn't make much sense either. It just is kind of weird to see these guys standing on something at the same level as a window in a building that looks like it's attached to a bigger building. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. We also see UFOs just kind of hovering in place in the middle of the city, which they're very common, apparently. We see 3 of them just in this. Oh, maybe that's 4 of them right here. That's hard to say. 3 or 4 of them just in this shot. And that makes me think that they're acting. I mean, maybe that's how you park them, but then I would assume that we would see more of them. So that makes me think they're more like a policing force, just kind of stationed around to keep an eye on things. But I'm not sure yet. Oh, sorry. They're not parked. They're moving. So I guess they're just flying through. Probably not a policing force.
우리 모두 신을 잊어버렸어.
Ooh, her light is red. So definitely some kind of a status light. She's like super depressed looking, so maybe it's tracking their mood. It could also be that she's depressed because she's getting punished for a red light, which would be like her not complying. Yeah, not sure either way yet. But it definitely shows that this is a collar. It's got some kind of status light on it. Here we see what looks like a bunch of these kids. They all have their collars on. They're clearly singing, except for the pink-haired girl. And it looks like they're in front of a judge's panel of aliens based on these buttons. We see this grid that we noticed in the the pictures we saw in that concert looked very similar to this, which again is kind of indicating like a prison vibe to me. The fact that they're all performing together makes me think that this isn't quite a competition like you would see in like American Idol or The Voice or something like that. But that there's some other kind of judgment going on with these buttons. She looks really sad, so I think she probably got voted out. But it could be that her friend isn't here and she's sad about that. Maybe this is after they have passed already, and these guys have all passed, and she's realizing that she doesn't have her friend here because her friend didn't pass, and now she's sad. She's not acting scared, though. So I'm thinking that whatever this competition type thing is, whatever this judgment is, it's not something that is an immediate danger or harm, something that could cause them trouble. Because she seems more focused on melancholy than fear. Also, this one girl is very happy. The rest of them seem neutral, but she's definitely smiling, which I think you might try to smile when you're singing in certain ways. It changes how your voice sounds. So maybe that's why, but it kind of just makes me think that she's happy, which you wouldn't be in the middle of a very harsh prison, in the middle of a judgment that could determine your fate. So this is probably a lot lighter than the concert that we're seeing with them as grown-ups.
헌데 신을 믿는다는 것이 인간적인 거라면 내가
Oh, her friend is there. Did I just miss her? No, it definitely just didn't show her.
먹는다는 것이 인간적인 거라면
She also looks happy. So that's a little strange. So she's not sad about her friend. It's probably just something about the performance itself that's making her sad, I guess. Also, lots of talk about God and religion. I have nothing really to say about that other than that it's clearly a theme that they're going for. I still am kind of under the belief that they're bringing this up to say that the aliens have become their new gods, and that religion is something that you do to worship gods for favor, basically. And that it's kind of pointless when your gods are malevolent or impartial to your individual care or status or something like that.
내가 인간으로서 할 수 있는 것이 믿는 것이라면
Oh, now she's not sad. She's just like stunned by that girl who's her friend. Blushing, big eyes, definitely getting romantic vibes again. But still very distracted from whatever this performance or audition thing is.
나의 신, 나의 우주.
86 on both of them. Okay, so they're tied. Oh, not tied. They are aliens. I was right. I'm not seeing giant alien eyes in the background, though. So maybe I was wrong about those. Oh. Well, I can't say I'm... Oh! They love the blood. Okay, so... Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised by that. I feel like there were a lot of signs pointing to that being a violent end. I didn't expect the, like, revelry in violence from... It's not even violence, in execution from these aliens. It seems like the blood, the finality of what happens here is more exciting than the songs. So it's interesting because, like, what does that tell us about why they are raising these kids to do music in the first place? Which, I mean, we saw a panel of judges. We saw the girl passing, which seemed to imply that she was moving on to something like this. I'm really thinking they're raising the kids to be singers. But I guess it's not confirmed. Still, even if they're not raising them, I'm going to go to a different frame. I don't like looking at these guys. Even if they're not raising them, like we can see here, they are fascinated, they're invigorated by the singing, but they look like they're anticipating more. Like this guy with the binoculars especially looks like, oh, I'm so excited for what comes next. This creepy guy with the sleazy smile looks pretty much the same. This one looks like he's astonished and awaiting some big drop. This one looks just into everything, honestly. But I'm thinking that they seem really, really into the performance because they've all got these little glow sticks. They were all waving them around, participating in the singing. But what really got them going was the violence. Like now they are losing their minds. So it tells us that the music is something they genuinely appreciate and cherish, but I think they might be doing it for the connection to the death. Like, my guess is that they view singing or performing or something like that as kind of like how some older societies viewed fighting or warriors, how dying in combat was glorious. And I feel like they are probably viewing these like gladiatorial arenas where they see the people performing, and that in and of itself is really entertaining. But the death, the release, the violence is what they're there for. It's the finality of it, and what they're interested in is the connection between the two. That either of them on their own is probably not worth it, because if they were just interested in the death, they could just slaughter these people. They seem to be slaves. Even if they weren't slaves, it seems like the aliens were advanced enough to just completely decimate the armies of the Earth. And so they can't just be in it for the violence. But if they were just in it for the songs and the performance, then they wouldn't be killing people. They would want to just raise good performers. So clearly something about their society values the connection between the two. It's a little hard to say from what we've seen so far, but I'm holding on to the guess that it has to do with like gladiatorial style entertainment, where the performance itself is only meaningful because death is a possibility, and the death itself is only meaningful because the performance happened. I also wonder, we haven't seen anything about how they choose these matchups, but the only one we've seen so far has been between two friends, possibly lovers, which makes me think that maybe part of this is also that they're interested in the drama that happens when they see the relationships, people who genuinely care for each other, having to ultimately do something that results in the other's death. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting, at least. Oh wait, they're sending in soldiers here to separate them. I was distracted just looking at, trying to figure out which of them has died. I'm pretty sure it's the black-haired girl because she seemed to have lost, but I can't actually tell. I think we saw the pink-haired girl dropping to her knees here. Yeah. But she had blood splattered on her. So I think, yeah, from here we see the blood splat. So it really looks like the other girl like exploded or something. And she just fell to her knees because she was distraught about it. I'm trying to see, I was trying to just verify that, but I glossed over the fact that they're sending soldiers in to presumably take her back to her prison where she waits for her next performance. I'm also definitely still seeing eyes. Maybe these are spotlights, but they definitely look like eyes. Like I can see pupils. So I'm waiting for the reveal of giant aliens. I was right about the color. That they just took it off for the performance. I don't actually remember if I said that. Just implied that as they're performing, they get more freedoms. I'm guessing they don't like the look of slaves performing, and so they take the colors off. But we also see the light is red now. So I'm thinking either Red light means they're not where they're supposed to be, because the 2 red lights we've seen have kind of been out in public. And the green lights we've seen have been in that box area. Whereas it could also still be emotional state, because we've seen one of them really depressed and she is like traumatized and horrified. Whereas the green lights were both happy. And then we didn't really see the lights in the choir of children, right? And that was here. Yeah, we don't see the lights there, so we can't use that to tell. So I'm guessing one or the other of those. Oh, it's a tournament, like a singing tournament? Okay. So it's like a singing tournament death game, huh? Where only one of these is going to survive, and they've got to perform against or with each other to see who gets it. I wonder if freedom is on the line if they win, or if it's just you get to survive and do this another time or something. What does a tournament structure say about this? I feel like that means that these aliens aren't just interested in the spectacle of watching people sing and then die. They're interested in finding the best, which is what you would use a tournament for, obviously. And using a tournament, trying to find the best, means that they place value in ability and performance rather than just like if this were purely analog to or purely analogous to gladiator combat, they wouldn't necessarily care about who's the best, because they would just want a recurring spectacle over and over again. But the fact that they're putting in so much training into these, presumably putting in so much training into these people, because we see them being raised from kids, and then also that they want to find the best once they get to this point, makes me think that they have something else in mind for these winners, that they probably value merit in singing very, very highly, and view being able to sing well, at least in humans, as like what defines their worth. I wonder if what they do is like sell off the winners as pets, and then the promise is you get to live, and you probably get to live in comfort, like someone would spoil a dog, but you're doing it so that you can perform and someone can have the knowledge that they've got like a equivalent of a purebred dog, someone who's renowned and has acclaim and proof of their skill. I don't know though. That's not really supported by anything, except we see that one alien had the girl as a pet, and she looked super, super depressed. Where was that? Right here. She was also older than these other people we've seen. So far, we've seen 3 performers, and they've all looked pretty young, where maybe she's not old. Maybe she just looks a little older because she is really sad and it's kind of crinkling her face up. but she doesn't look as young to me as these others. So maybe she was a past winner and has just kind of lost all the life in her, as she's realized that after watching all of her friends that she's been raised with die, all she has to look forward to is a life of servitude to an alien who just killed all of her friends. But that's very much tinfoil hat theory territory. Okay, yeah, that was the first episode. I think I'm going to call it there. I was planning to do the entire series in one video, but I talked for 45 minutes, apparently, about episode 1. So there's a lot packed into these. Holy crap. I'm loving it so far. This is great. Maybe this video is shorter. Maybe I'll try and get this one in and then end there. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to finish this video. Immediately what we see is a different solar system than our own, or maybe our own solar system, but very terraformed. None of these planets are recognizable, though, so I'm definitely leaning more towards a different solar system. Maybe where the aliens came from, except they're so diverse, I imagine they had to come from many places. So yeah, let's see if we figure that out. We see a performer projected into this. So I'm thinking that they're streaming these performances to maybe their home solar system or other solar systems. And it's kind of like an intergalactic American Idol where everyone dies. Okay, hang on. I want to take a look at what we just saw. So these are any of them recognizable? None of them have collars. Oh, we just watched her die, right? And then she just won. This guy has an instrument, which is notable because no one else does. Everyone else is just a singer. He also has like a rope attached to him. That's weird. No one else had that. Right? Yeah. I'm also noticing that all of these lights, they're very regularly spread out and they look like spotlights, which makes me think that those things that I thought were eyes were actually eyes and not giant spotlights, because they were not as tightly grouped together as these are, or as regularly spread apart. I'm interested about this rope. It looks like a tiny noose. So that's very curious. There's Earth all wrecked. Oh, okay, hang on. Let me start over because I forgot to turn on subtitles. Okay, they're being shipped away from Earth, which is just in ruins. That's what I'm guessing. Okay, he's really hunched. Like, these guys look like paparazzi taking pictures of him. He's really hunched over like he hates this. Did we see his face briefly? Yeah, his eyes are very sad. Presumably that's him. So these guys are kind of all like enjoying the moment to capture his misery. I see some kind of, oh yeah, this even says keep out here. And it's like, there's some tape there. There's some tape here. I can't read if that tape says anything kind of looks like it does, but I can't read what it would be. Probably keep out. Is it easier if I go to a different frame? Okay, yeah, it's hard to tell. Right here, this looks like keep out, but I can really only tell over several frames. So they are being barricaded from this guy, otherwise they would swarm him, presumably. They're already basically doing that just from a distance. It's really interesting to see how diverse these aliens are, because we see like all different kinds of biological things, but we also see several robots that are involved in this procedure. Also here. So it's like, it makes me wonder if this is like the result of like an alien empire, and they're like, here's our premier form of entertainment. You should learn to love it. And also program all your robots to love it. Or if maybe there is actual sentient life in these robots and they just look mechanical but are like living beings. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, let's keep going though. Let's see what else is there. Okay, so I assumed it was a prison. This guy is way more restricted than anyone else has been. It looks like he's being shown the footage. I can't tell if this is... I don't think it's the same guy because his hair looks different, but we can't really tell much details about him. So it makes me wonder, why is this guy being treated so differently? Like locked down, his mouth... It's weird that only his mouth is blocked, though. We can see his nose, his eyes are... I mean, they couldn't block them if they're trying to show him this projection. So why would he not be allowed to talk? His arms look like they might also be tied behind his back. It makes me wonder if this guy is not participating and is trying to be almost brainwashed into doing it. And maybe, again, very tinfoil hat theory, maybe they view the voice as something almost sacred, only to be used by the ones who are performing. That would only make sense if the slave, like the pet girl we saw in the last video, was actually one of the past winners. Because otherwise they would need to keep everyone muffled all the time. So that's probably not it. I'm not sure what else it could be. Huh. Okay, definitely chained hands. It looks like his legs even might be chained. And he's definitely holding on to something, but I can't tell what. Maybe something important to him personally. Maybe something belonging to the guy whose video he's been showing. And maybe they are kind of romantically or very close platonically otherwise. And he's kind of being taunted with his best friend's status, while his friend is performing because this guy is locked up, kind of as collateral. She's chained up, but being able to smoke. Okay, that makes me think I was very wrong about the voice being sacred, because smoking is not good if you want to raise people who are purely singers. The fact that she's allowed to do that even while chained up, not in a collar though, makes me think they don't care in general about the voice. And also makes me think she's probably not one of their performers. Although we see that sign in the background pointing out where to go. So maybe she doesn't have a collar because she's about to perform and she's just smoking to ease her nerves, which, again, not a great idea if you're a singer. Means that they definitely don't care about like vocal cords and perfectly preserving someone's voice. But it would be weird if she's chained up or has like manacles right before her performance, but not a collar. So I'm not sure what to make of her either. Okay, she seemed super surprised there. We see a kid run by. He's got a collar. He's going the opposite way. She seems like really, really surprised. I don't know whether she was surprised by who it was, by the fact that they were one of the collared people, or because he was going the wrong way, or if it was something else. But that's probably notable in a way that I'm just not picking up on yet. Oh, wait, there were words there. What did those say? Texture.png? What? These all say texture.png. Is this like... Would they normally have this looking like outside or something more comforting like we've seen them do with the skybox, but they're just being lazy because no one's supposed to be here? And so it's just saying, like, here's a placeholder texture. And then she's surprised because no one was supposed to be around while it's in this lazy state. I don't know what that would mean about her. She's not a worker because she's manacled, right? But she's not one of the collared people. Maybe only they are the ones who need to be fooled or soothed or whatever the purpose of those fake rooms are. That was interesting in the lyrics. They say, "Lord, please, when this is over, save me, please." But the last episode spent a long time talking about how religion is kind of futile, how you can only count on human strength, things like that. So it's interesting to see them going back to this religious thing. I think what we've been seeing is kind of the start of a lot of this. So maybe this is meant to be before they completely gave up on religion, or maybe it's someone holding on to religion despite what everyone else tends to believe, or maybe something else. And either way, it's a really notable thing, though. Did that say anything I could read? Alien Stage. Okay. That's their American Idol death show name, I'm guessing. Oh, you know what? I bet Alien Stage isn't referring to the creatures we think of as aliens. I bet it's a stage for these aliens. Also, there's that crease in the sky again. They're definitely very intentional with that. I also see all of their colors are green now, and they're all fairly happy, or at least not sad. So it's still hard to tell whether that means they're in the right place or whether they're in the right emotional state. But it's more proof for one or the other. That was kind of a religious tone. My Father, my universe, take away the small and weak me. That sounds like a prayer, almost. We also see, like, robot policemen here in the background. This is super ominous as she's singing. There is also, like, a choir of them singing. I wonder if it's meant to be the children. Like, they obviously don't sound like children. Also another crease in the sky, and that looks like the actual corner there. Just pointing that out again. I yeah, it is interesting to hear them singing that. Take away the small and weak me. Oh, they're performing in front of these police, and only the ones who are good enough get to stay, and the others are taken away by the police. They're not executed as suddenly and remotely as she was in the first episode when she lost, which makes me think they're being repurposed rather than just executed. Or maybe they just don't have the setup for that kind of execution. But it's interesting here. We're seeing in the lyrics a lot of religious sounding things, but then also it's really juxtaposed with this horrible life being watched over by these scary alien robot police things, and now she's saying that she lives in darkness. It kind of sounds like someone giving up on faith, maybe, or trying desperately to cling to faith despite proof otherwise.
In darkness, bring me brightness. Show me proof you hear my sound.
This guy is seeming to have that rope attached to his neck still. I'm pretty sure that's... Oh, yeah, it's definitely the same guy because he's got his guitar pick here. And he was the only one with an instrument. I wonder why he has that. This makes it look like it's attached like a giant leash. I wonder if he tries to run away a lot or something, and so they keep him leashed there. No one else has anything on their neck. Okay, maybe that's a collar. Maybe that's like a shirt collar. I can't tell for sure.
Live in darkness.
Live in darkness. This is the guitar pick guy again with his leash. I feel like, yeah, definitely something notable about this, but I'm not quite sure what. I'm interested what his shirt says, but it's a little blurry to read and crumpled to read here. But this is making it look like, I can't tell if these guys are competing with each other right now, but it's kind of the second time we've seen people paired up. The first time, obviously, in that first competition. And now we're seeing him, who we know is a competitor, paired with this guy, who I don't think we've seen before. But it makes me wonder if all of, at least the initial competitions, are between people who are close to each other. Because that is definitely two people very close to each other. Okay, and this is weird. I was going to say these are another pair of people close to each other, but she looks like she's going to stab him. He looks happy or resigned about it. So, yeah, I guess I don't know how close they are, but they at least seem to have a prior relationship. So maybe rather than looking for people who are close to each other, they want people who have feelings, positive or negative, about each other in some way, because that creates more drama. I'm guessing what we're seeing is pairings for the future rounds, though. So this would be one, this would be another. I bet we're going to get a shot next of another. Nope, we're not. Just aliens watching, I guess. Not much to say here besides vague sci-fi technology stuff. Yeah, I've got nothing to say. Okay, this is a creepy shot. We see collared kids. I think colored kids still. They're watching their performance while being monitored very closely by an alien. Actually, these guys have leashes on them. And they look really young. It's hard to tell for sure because we're only seeing them from behind, but they look small. So that makes me think this is someone watching the show with their pets rather than competitors being brainwashed into anything or trained or shown what's going to happen or something like that. Okay, yeah. We were able to get that one done much quicker. But I know next up is round 2. I'm expecting the actual round ones to both be longer. You can see it's not as long as the first one, but also to have more details crammed into them. So I'm going to call it here. I will continue reacting to the rest of this series. I'm super intrigued to see where it goes. It is really, really interesting, and I love all the details they're showing, and I'm excited to try and see the rest. But for now, I am going to call it and be done.